High protein diets will cut years off your life. That's not what slick marketing companies are trying to do. They're trying to convince millions of people that loading up on protein shakes and steaks and other high protein foods will help you build muscle, lose weight, and stay young. But my friend, the truth is, when it comes to longevity, the evidence is mounting. Too much protein, especially animal protein, will actually shorten your life. Hello, I'm Dr. Krystosik, and today I want to break down the science that most people, even most doctors, aren't talking about. The link between high protein diets and a shorter lifespan. Well, let's start with the basics. Yeah, protein is essential, of course. Your muscles, your enzymes, your hormones, they all depend upon it. But here's the problem. In our culture, people will worship protein, and it's become a religion. Many people are eating way too much, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 6 times more than their body needs. And that excess protein isn't making us live longer. It's doing just the opposite. Research from studies that are from well-respected scientists around the world, including one of the best, Dr. Walter Longo at the University of Southern California, where they show that high protein intake, particularly from animal protein, activates something called the mTOR pathway. Now, the mTOR pathway sounds pretty high-tech, like a robot or something, but in your body, it's basically a growth switch. When it's turned on all the time from eating too much protein, it accelerates aging and it increases your risk for cancer and diabetes and early death. I want you to think about this. Populations from around the world, especially in the blue zones, the places where people live the longest, the healthiest lives, they eat very little animal protein. Why in Okinawa, Japan, and Sardinia, Italy, and in Nicoya, Costa Rica, which I visited actually, people live well into their 90s and 100s and beyond, not because they're chugging down protein shakes, but it's because their diets are centered around beans and lentils and vegetables and whole grains and nuts and seeds. In fact, beans are the cornerstone of the longevity diet from people around the world. You see, because they're full of fiber and antioxidants, and yes, plant protein, but just in the right balance that supports health and longevity rather than accelerating the incidence of disease and shortening the lifespan. Compare that to the modern high protein diet. Sure, you might lose weight in the short term, and you might be able to get, some fast way to lower your blood sugar. You might be able to look better with fewer pounds on your belly in the short run. But in the long term, the data is really chilling. See, there was a major study that was published in the Cell Metabolism Journal, and they found that middle-aged adults who ate high-protein diets, listen to this, they had 75% increased overall mortality and were 4 times more likely to die of cancer. A whopping 4 times more. Well, that's the same risk as you would get from smoking. Now, let's talk about your kidneys and your heart. Excess protein, especially from animal sources, forces your kidneys to work extra hard, to work overtime. That means more waste products like urea and ammonia build up, stressing your system and raising your risk for kidney disease. On top of that, high protein diets are high in saturated fat, which clogs your artery and raises your risk for heart disease, the number one killer of people worldwide. And don't forget your gut. When you eat lots of animal protein, you starve your microbiome. You see, you need fiber to produce the healing compounds like butyrate, which is a short-chain fatty acid that is produced by bacteria that feed on high fiber foods, not high protein. Instead, your gut bacteria are going to churn out toxic byproducts when you eat high protein, like TMAO, which increases inflammation and the risk for cardiovascular death and cardiovascular accidents and heart attacks and strokes. You see, that's the exact opposite of what happens when you eat beans and lentils and whole grains and nuts and seeds and protein from plants. You see, when you do that, you feed your good bacteria and you protect your health. So here's the bottom line. Protein is important, yes, but balance is everything. You don't need to drown your body in steaks and shakes and high protein meals to be healthy. In fact, if you want to live a long, vibrant life, you need to do just the opposite. Lower your intake of animal protein and increase your intake of plant-based proteins, and load up on fiber-rich foods that fuel your gut and protect your heart and your overall health. Now, here's a few simple steps that you can do starting today. You want to swap red meat and extra protein foods with beans and lentils and chickpeas, and do that a couple nights a week, and you're going to see a huge difference. And trade in those whey protein shakes for smoothies made with pea protein and hemp protein. Make vegetables and fruits and whole grains and nuts and seeds the foundation of your meals. And let protein from animal foods be the side dish, not the main event. Remember, longevity isn't about quick fixes. It's about creating an internal environment where your body can thrive for decades. The people who live the longest don't worship protein. They respect plants and eat them daily in copious amounts. And they eat protein from animal sources sparingly. My friends, I'm 76 and I don't eat animal protein. And just recently I was in a really bad car accident, and I almost died in a car accident about 5 months ago. And then before that car accident, I was playing full court basketball with college students and working out with weights at the gym 3 days a week. And after the accident, I had 2 compression fractures of my lumbar spine. I fractured my facial bones and broke my nose, and I punctured a lung. And yet 8 weeks later, I was swimming 3 days per week, riding my bicycle, and working out in the weight room 2 or 3 days a week. Obviously, my mostly plant-based protein diet, along with some eggs and some salmon a couple days a week, it really made my body able to heal quickly and not be able to have to rely on animal protein. My friends, I encourage you to join people just like you who are in my Gut 911 prescription community, and we are learning from each other, and I'm sharing lots of free resources with them, books and courses. So if you really enjoyed this video, I encourage you to like it, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment below. So until next time, my friend, here's to your health.